Namaste. Ciao. Bonjour. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10 and it's Friday. Welcome, everybody. If you haven't been before, thanks for coming. If you have, thanks for coming back. We are James Alexander Estate Agents. My name is Ken Hume, and this is Ken at 10. We broadcast daily from our offices in southwest London, although you wouldn't know it, would you? Because we're playing with our lovely green screen behind us here. So I'm virtually in a lounge. Rather nice one, too. Could be playing that piano, couldn't I? Maybe not, because I don't play. Maybe I should put a saxophone there. So how are you today? If you haven't been here before, we talk about all things property, and we're based in southwest London, southwest 16 to be precise, and we just talk about topical things, really, including the dreaded pandemic, how it's affecting the property market, and of course the stamp duty holiday, because that's causing huge problems. So this week, what are we doing? What's going on? Well, the first thing is pressure. The pressure on buyers and sellers right now, and solicitors and agents, is massive. I'm not asking you to cry me a river. We're busy, and I'm just glad to be one of the privileged few that can go into work each day, enjoy it, get my teeth into it, and do what I can to help buyers and sellers move on. But it really is, the pressure's building now. It's palpable. I mean, we've got some clients that are really feeling the pressure and looking for an exchange of contracts. And in some respects, many solicitors we're finding not returning calls, not even the courtesy of an email. It's just unhelpful. And frankly, they don't know it, but they're the losers, because when this pandemic comes to an end and solicitors, often purchasers ask us what solicitors to use, we will be remembering you. You know, we were creating snow solicitors and throwing snowballs at them just a week ago. So be careful out there, solicitors. You need to look after your agents, because your agents will often decide whether you're used again, as purchasers ask for recommendations and vendors ask for recommendations, because we built up that trust before you. And if you want trust from buyers and sellers, then you need to make sure that you are professional in your approach. You know, if you've got too many sales going through, then you should not accept new work. You know, if you don't have the staff to cope, then be honest, own it. And if you do, then give people the courtesy of return calls and emails. I think, you know, we all appreciate you're busy. You can't necessarily return every call. But these days in the world of email, just replying to an email doesn't take a lot, does it? And so many solicitors are falling foul of that. It's very frustrating. So buyers and sellers are feeling the pressure. We've got many sales this week, for instance, that should be going through, should have exchanged already. But many solicitors prefer to exchange contracts on a Friday. They like to do it on bulk on one day. There's no particular advantage to doing it on a Friday, but they tend to. I love Fridays, as any regular viewers will know. Why do I love Fridays? Well, Friday is the day when we get people out and about viewing for the weekend. Most people view on a weekend. Saturday is the peak time for us, around lunchtime. And we like to make sure that if people are out viewing in SW16, they're doing so through us and looking at our properties rather than our competitors. How do we do that? Well, we do that by making sure we're on the phone to them, contacting them constantly, building those relationships, understanding what they need. Not in a mudslinging sense. This is not about just getting bodies through doors for the sake of bodies through doors. This is about understanding people's wants, needs, and desires. You know, what have you seen so far? How does it compare? What's the best one you've seen? You know, what's the reason for the move? If you can understand those things as an agent, then you can really help buyers to move. So our job on a Friday is to make sure that everybody that could possibly view is out viewing our stock, but not as a mudslinging exercise, but bringing real value to the search for those clients as well. So those clients know when they deal with us, we're not just saying, okay, when do you want to go? We're explaining the property to them, seeing if there's anything else similar that we have that might suit them better, and hopefully helping them to make a better choice and not wasting their own time on frivolous looking at properties that are not going to be right for them, as some agents would just show people and not listen. And that's the key. I think estate agents, and good estate agents, it's more about listening than it is about talking, says he with a live talk show. So if you are new here, then we talk about all property headlines and what's going on in the news. And of course, still the big thing and the big ask is, what is going on with Rishi? What's he going to do? And as I said all this week, it seems to me that the theme is, and it's being leaked mainly by the Telegraph, and the Telegraph having quite close links to the Tory party, I think it might be coming from government, and I think they might be testing the water with this 6-week theory, and that is that they may extend the deadline for a further 6 weeks past March 31st, which I think will be helpful. What will be more helpful is to extend the deadline for another 6 months or a year. I don't see that happening. It seems likely that it will be restricted. There has been talk also about substantial performance, the idea being that there may be an extension only for those that have existing sales going through and have substantially started those sales. Now, I don't know what that will mean, but I think it will be incredibly difficult to police and make for some very, very big, confusing headlines. So I'm hopeful that they make it much simpler than that and just say, okay, you've got a further 6 weeks done. And that would be the sensible thing to do. Then if a really clever buyer and seller got together and wanted to do it now, they can do it. And we can do it for you. We've been saying for some time, people are saying that you can't, there's not enough time now. Nonsense. There is time. If you've got the right buyer, the right seller, the right agents and the right solicitors and the right lender, there is still potential to make your move and complete it, believe it or not. So many people have said it can't be done, and we're proving them wrong time and time again, and good agents will do that for you. So news today, we've got a City AM headline. Research from Spare Room has revealed that London rentals have plummeted. However, demand was stronger in southeast and east London. Figures declined 15 and 19% respectively. I don't think that's a big surprise to you that London rents are plummeting when London offices are not open. I see that as changing massively as soon as the pandemic eases. And looking at the results we're having with the vaccinations, incredible, isn't it? We're now talking about giving away some of our stocks to third world countries, which is fantastic. But most importantly, that's an indication that we are overstocked with the vaccines and that it won't be long before we're all getting them. And to think of, 16 million people already vaccinated, what an incredible effort by the NHS, the army, the government and the coordination. I'm not a great one for complimenting the government recently, as many of you will know, but I do think when it comes to vaccination, it's been incredible, and it will mean that release will come sooner. That chink of light at the end of the tunnel is becoming a full-on sunrise, and I'm looking forward to that day when we can all get back to normal. But what will that mean? What is normal? And I think, the pandemic has changed us forever, hasn't it? Some of the things that were, in my view, technology is what's really changed, in that some of the things that we all knew were coming and that were inevitable, such as desktop valuations by lenders. That is where the valuations by surveyors, normally they happen by physically going into the property and looking around. We're finding more and more now are saying, no, we don't need to go in the property. We're doing a desktop valuation, which involves investigating land registry to see what the last sales are, looking at the sales particulars and the floor plan, and then taking a judgment on whether the property would prove suitable security from everything that can be seen from the outside. And quite often lenders will accept this now. And that's a sea change. They've really, really changed that since the lockdown. And again, many of us that are home working, we hear time and time again when I'm doing valuations, I'm seeing people and they're saying, well, my employer now says that I'm actually doing better in the productivity sense. The KPIs are better now than when I was working in the office. So they're never to go back. And that is a fundamental change. It's a demographic change as well. We've all seen this coming, but I think the pandemic has sped it up. And I don't think all these trends will automatically reverse just because the pandemic will come to an end. I think some of these trends, they will continue. And in many ways, they'll be for the better. So those that now can commute or telecommute or Zoom commute from home, that'll be fantastic for them. Obviously, in my view, there's no substitute for physically going out and meeting people. It's one of the great pleasures of my job and my business is that we're able to meet people, talk about their aspirations and their future plans and help them get there. One of the things I love to do, and to see people through that journey, sometimes from terrible circumstances and sad circumstances, and quite often in joyful circumstances. Success can bring new houses, new children and the like. So it's great to be quite a privilege, really, to be a part of that. The rent debt crisis could lead to homelessness. Another headline here, and this is by the BBC, saying 500,000 people in rented accommodation could lose their home without financial help. Debt charities, lenders and landlords have warned. A group has asked the government for a targeted support package to help struggling people. Well, yeah, they could do with help for sure. What we're finding is that more and more people are struggling but managing to make it whilst they're on furlough. At the end of furlough, no doubt there will be a huge problem. And hopefully with the release of the lockdown, we'll find that there's a huge bounce in the economy. And I suspect there will be. I suspect that we'll be surprised how quickly the economy opens back up again, because everything's still there in the way it was, isn't it? The only thing that's not is optimism. And there are two different kinds of people out there at the moment we're finding. There are those that are unaffected by the pandemic and actually have more disposable income because they're not spending money outside of their homes. And then there are ones that have lost their income, and sadly, it's become much more acute. And, there really is a whole dichotomy of different circumstances And sadly, I see it pushing the well-to-do and the poor further apart, because many on the poor end of the spectrum are in the gig economy, and that's the one that's been hit hardest. I just hope it recovers really, really quickly post-pandemic. Apart from that, today we have a number of valuations, property inspections, those inspections as well, just simple things like that. We now use a special online tool that helps us to do inspections, so we can then send the videos on to our landlords, and that's been really helpful. Landlords have appreciated that, and it's saved that physical contact, which is scary for tenants, of course, in the current pandemic. So hope you're having a good day today. That's it for Ken at 10 today. One thing I should say, just on the podcast for the week, if you'd like to see that, if you go to our Facebook feed, you'll see a link on there. Just tweeted it out as well, put it on LinkedIn. Have a listen, take us with you in the car. Hope you enjoy that. All about how you can sell with a tenant in situ and future trends for property. I hope you enjoy that. We'll be back on Monday with another Ken at 10. Until then, look after yourselves and your families and have a fantastic day and an even better weekend. Take care.